2 Samuel 17 1-18:33, through the Bible. Chapters 17-18. Theme: Civil war between Absalom and David. In chapter 17, Absalom hears the counsel of Ahithophel and Hushai, David's friend. When Absalom accepts Hushai's argument that David and his men are veterans in the field of battle and that Absalom needs reinforcements, David is able to escape and prepare for battle. In chapter 18, the two sides engage in civil war. The battle ends with Absalom's death. The chapter concludes with the touching grief of David over his slain son. The conflicting counsel of Ahithophel and Hushai. As we have been following the different experiences of David, we saw first his triumphs, and now we are seeing his troubles. In fact, he is really in trouble right now. David's own son Absalom, whom I believe he loved above everything else in this world, is leading a rebellion against him. This was a heartbreak to the king. David withdrew from Jerusalem because he did not want it to become the scene of a battle and possibly be destroyed. Instead, David left his beloved city. He sent Hushai back to Absalom so that he might give him counsel that would be to David's advantage. Ahithophel, who had once been an advisor to David, had defected to Absalom. In chapter 17, these two advisors are giving Absalom contradictory counsel about whether or not to attack his father at this time. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, "Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night, and I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid, and all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only." 2 Samuel 17 1-2. In other words, if David could be destroyed, the rebellion would be broken and Absalom would be made king. Ahithophel's advice, of course, would be disastrous for David if it were followed. Ahithophel outlines his plan. "And I will bring back all the people unto thee, the man whom thou seekest is as if all returned, so all the people shall be in peace." And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. 2 Samuel 17 3-4. Even Absalom agreed to this heartless plan. Then said Absalom, "Call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he saith." And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, "Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner, shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou." 2 Samuel 17 5-6. It was a good thing that Hushai was present, because he offers an altogether different strategy. He gives Absalom advice that is very good, but it is favorable to David. David is in a very vulnerable position and desperately needs time. And Hushai said unto Absalom, "The counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time." For, said Hushai, "Thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field, and thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit, or in some other place, and it will come to pass, when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, There is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt, for all Israel knoweth that thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men." 2 Samuel 17 7-10. Hushai is giving Absalom good advice even though it is for David's benefit. His advice is simply this: you must recognize, Absalom, that you are not a man of war. Your father is a man of war. He is acquainted with the field. He is a veteran. He is rugged. He has his mighty men with him. David and his men are chafed by what has happened. They are licking their wounds right now and are like a mother bear who has been robbed of her whelps. That mama bear is really going to fight and will become twice as dangerous as she would be otherwise. You would be very foolish to attack David now. But suppose you did attack him. David has been pursued before, he is an expert at evading capture. Saul hunted him for years. David would not be among the people. He would know where to hide. He would know how to escape. Suppose you went into his host and did not find David. Soon word would circulate that you were losing the battle, and you would find that the people who had temporarily joined you in your cause would not stay with you. Now that Hushai has pointed out errors in judgment in Ahithophel's counsel, he outlines another strategy. "Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground, and of him and of all the men that are with him there shall not be left so much as one. 2 Samuel 17:11-12. He is saying to Absalom, the important thing is that you are not prepared to go into battle. Ahithophel is not prepared for battle. Just taking a few thousand men with you will not enable you to overcome David. What you need to do is to gather all Israel together, and you yourself lead the forces into battle. That is what is expected of a king. That is the way your father came to the throne. He was, first of all, a great general. We will have to overwhelm him and his men by sheer numbers. Hushai's advice was good, all right, but it was not for Absalom's benefit. It was given for David's benefit. It would give David time to reconnoiter. Now what did Absalom and the men of Israel think of Hushai's counsel? And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. 2 Samuel 17:14. Absalom and his advisers felt that Hushai's advice was better. Very candidly, friend, Hushai's counsel was certainly better than that of Ahithophel from David's standpoint. God was at work in David's behalf. Warning is sent to David. While they are attempting to gather together the nation and unite them under Absalom, Hushai gets a warning to David. He is to escape over Jordan quickly. In the next few verses we see the movement of the spy system. When the message reached David, he responded quickly. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. 2 Samuel 17:22. Ahithophel's suicide. Because Ahithophel was a proud man and a highly respected advisor, when he saw that his counsel was not followed, he considered his career over. The record says that he put his house in order, then hanged himself. Absalom pursues David. Absalom now has gotten together a great army from all the tribes of Israel, and they pursue David. Then David came to Mahanaim. And Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra an Israelite, that went in to Abigail the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. 2 Samuel 17:24-26. David spent a great deal of his life running from somebody. In this instance, of course, it is indirectly because of his own sin. David is actually in a very difficult position. He had fled Jerusalem without any preparation whatsoever. Those who were loyal to him had fled with him. And it came to pass, when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobi the son of Nahash of Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and Machir the son of Ammiel of Lodbar, and Barzillai the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds, and basins, and earthen vessels, and wheat, and barley, and flour, and parched corn, and beans, and lentiles, and parched pulse, and honey, and butter, and sheep, and cheese of kine, for David, and for the people that were with him, to eat, for they said, the people is hungry, and weary, and thirsty, in the wilderness. 2 Samuel 17:27-29. David finds that he has many allies in the people round about. They know David and the warrior that he is. The rulers of these kingdoms probably have very little confidence in Absalom, knowing he is deceitful and tricky. He would not be dependable. They do, however, have confidence in David. Therefore, they bring supplies to David and his men to ease their hardship. Absalom's delay enables David to get supplies from his allies and ready his troops for combat. Civil war. And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. 2 Samuel 18:1-2. David wanted to go into battle with his men. But the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us, neither if half of us die, will they care for us, but now thou art worth 10,000 of us, therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. 2 Samuel 18:3. The army refused to let David go into battle. And the king said unto them, What seemeth you best I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. 2 Samuel 18:4-5. This is one of the saddest chapters in David's life. While the chapter of David's sin is the most sordid chapter, this is the saddest because it records the death of his son Absalom. Because they have urged him not to go with them to battle, David takes his place at the side of the gate as the army marches out. It marches out under 3 leaders, Joab, Abishai, and Ittai. As each of these 3 captains comes by, David charges him to deal gently with his son. All the army heard him give this order. I think some smiled, but others felt a bit resentful. Absalom would always be a troublemaker, and they would like to eliminate him. David, however, loved his son and did not want him to die. He said to his commanders, Deal gently with my boy Absalom. David's men heard what he said. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and there was there a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. 2 Samuel 18:6-7. This was a civil war. It was a terrible thing. We had a civil war in the United States, and we know the sadness of brother fighting brother. David was a strategist and a general, and Absalom did not have anyone in his group who could match David's ability or the ability of David's 3 captains. Therefore, the children of Israel lost the battle. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. 2 Samuel 18:8. The troops of Absalom became entangled in the woods of Ephraim when they attempted to flee from David's army. They became bottled in, the forest became the cause of death for many of them rather than the sword. They had picked the wrong place to battle with David. Absalom slain by Joab. And Absalom met the servants of David. And Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. 2 Samuel 18:9-10. Apparently Absalom's head got caught in the forks of an oak tree while he was riding his mule through the woods. He was fleeing, by the way, and, when he got caught in the tree, the mule kept right on going, leaving Absalom in quite a predicament. Under other circumstances this incident could be rather humorous. In this case it is not. And Joab said unto the man that told him, And, behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver, and a girdle. 2 Samuel 18:11. This man is shocked that Joab would want the prince, the son of David, killed. And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in mine hand, yet would I not put forth mine hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against mine own life, for there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldest have set thyself against me. 2 Samuel 18:12-13. The soldier said, The king told us not to touch his son, and if I had done anything to him, you would have punished me yourself. But Joab did not have time to argue with him. He had a matter of business to take care of immediately. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand, and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom, and slew him. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom, and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him, and all Israel fled every one to his tent. 2 Samuel 18:14-17. When Absalom was dead, the rebellion was over. Joab had no right to kill Absalom, especially after David had given the command that he was not to be touched. However, he is weary of all the trouble Absalom has caused, and he knows that the death of this boy will end the rebellion. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok, Let me now run, and bear the king tidings, how that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, Thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day, but this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushi, Go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushi bowed himself unto Joab, and ran. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok yet again to Joab, But howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushi. And Joab said, Wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready? 2 Samuel 18:19-22. Joab was reluctant to let Ahimaaz bear the news of Absalom's death to David because he did not have all the necessary information to give the king. David mourns for Absalom. But howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, Run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain, and overran Cushi. And David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold a man running alone. 2 Samuel 18:23-24. This, now, is one of the most touching scenes in the Word of God. David is sitting in the gate of the city, anxiously waiting for word to be brought to him. And the watchman cried, and told the king. And the king said, If he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace, and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter, and said, Behold another man running alone. And the king said, He also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, Methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz the son of Zadok. And the king said, He is a good man, and cometh with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called, and said unto the king, All is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, Blessed be the Lord thy God, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent the king's servant, and me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. 2 Samuel 18:25-29. David has but one question to ask Ahimaaz, Is the young man Absalom safe? But Ahimaaz did not have all of the necessary information to tell the king. He did not know that Absalom was dead. And, friend, there are many messengers running about today telling the human family that God says all is well, but all is not well. Man is a sinner. He needs a savior. Man needs to know that the Son of God died on the cross for him. Man needs to be born again. Ahimaaz did not have the message that David should have received. And, behold, Cushi came, and Cushi said, Tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee. 2 Samuel 18:31. Notice that David's first question is about Absalom. His chief concern is not for who won the battle but for the safety of Absalom. And the king said unto Cushi, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushi answered, The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. 2 Samuel 18:32. Cushi has the correct information. He is gently telling David that Absalom is dead. Then follows David's mourning for his son. It is the most touching expression of grief in the Bible or in any other literature. It is at this point one feels like saying, Lord, you have whipped David enough for his sin. Let up on your son David. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept, and as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom. Would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. 2 Samuel 18:33.